Hi, my name is Todd Huff, and I wanted to tell you my story. First of all, thank you for listening to my story. I'll tell you a little bit about how I started this program, how we got to here. And so I'll take you back a little bit, depending on how old you are, a little bit in the past, back into the summer of 1993 when I became a Christian. I became a follower of Jesus at a Fellowship of Christian Athletes football camp in Marshall, Indiana, that summer of 1993. And I came home a changed person. And as I grew as a Christian and as I developed and learned more about the Bible, I started doing more things at church and eventually working with the little kids. I'll never forget working with 5- and 6-year-olds, that I was the one that was learning the stories, as we talked about David and Moses and all the Old Testament characters. It seemed as though I was one of the teachers, but in fact, I was learning alongside those little guys. And so that's where I began to grow and develop, and I began to feel a call in my life, and I can trace it back to 1999, and I was in Washington, D.C. for a semester exchange program at American University, just on the northwest side of Washington, D.C., and I interned at a place called the Christian Defense Fund during this time in D.C., and I also was in class with students from all over the country. This was a semester exchange program, so students would come in from different parts of the country, different schools, and I'm from Indiana, from the Midwest, and so there was a lot of East Coast schools, Amherst, Vassar, Boston College, some from around the country as well, but mostly East Coast and some even my way to the Midwest. I went to Butler University in Indianapolis. And so I learned how to defend what I thought in those classes. And it was me oftentimes versus the class. Although looking back, there weren't as many, even though there was about 25 people in the class, there weren't as many against me, so to speak. Many were just silent. And I learned that a lot of folks were silent because they may have agreed with what I was saying, but they just didn't want to face the opposition that I was facing. And so I began to really take a deep interest in these things, political, cultural, religious issues. And I didn't understand it back in 99 when I first felt God tugging me in that direction. And in fact, at one point in time, I thought it was to go to seminary school. I looked at attending school for Christian apologetics. Having been raised in a home where we didn't go to church, my heart was sensitive to those who didn't understand a lot about the Bible. And so I considered that for some time, but that just wasn't meant to be. And over time, it became clearer to me that my place that I was called to be is at the intersection of religion and culture and government. Now, I say this, a lot of people who are religious, I shouldn't say a lot, but many people, some people who are religious they're effectively people who believe that the government should dictate religion to people. That's not at all what I believe. We're free here in this country. That's how God made us to be. And we can be free to be a devout Christian. We can be free to be an atheist or anything in between. And so that's a critically important thing. God gave us choice. And so as this began to materialize in my head, become clearer and clearer, given my, interest and desire in talk radio that also first started in 1999, I started podcasting in my bedroom closet. Actually, it's my wife's closet in our bedroom. I got to be careful how I say that because it's not my wife's bedroom closet, although she has a different bedroom. It's her closet in our bedroom. We have a couple of closets in there. And so I started podcasting there back in August of 2015. Prior to doing that, I told her on a vacation, we took a family vacation to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I asked her what her thoughts were about my podcasting. And she said, that sounds like a good idea. Of course, I'm thinking syndicated talk radio program. She's thinking something that Todd does maybe on the weekends. But that's where it started back in 2015. I then took that program to Freedom 95 in Indianapolis. The only station we sent information to many stations in Indiana. At least I should say we reached out, had an initial conversation, but there was one I felt compelled to approach, and that was Freedom 95 in Indianapolis, Franklin, on the south side of Indianapolis. And we were able to get the program on, wait for this, at 2 a.m. So we started at 2 a.m. on October the 3rd, 2016, which is right before the, of course, 2016 election. And that's where we started at 2 a.m. I'll never forget this, 2 to 3 a.m. Monday through actually Tuesday through Saturday, because it was after midnight when the program would air. So that is where we started. About 9 months later, we were able to get on during morning drive, 6 to 7 a.m. And since that time, we've also been picked up on KYAH, 540 a.m. in Utah. We're on from, now we're on 2 hours there, 6 to 8, but we added that second hour here at the beginning of 2020. And so we started at Freedom at 2. We moved to Morning Drive. We added an hour. I've also had the good fortune of being interviewed. Fox News, this is my home studio. Fox News came here to do a story that we were fortunate enough to be a part of a couple of years ago. And we've been tremendously blessed. This has been a wonderful journey, and our plans don't stop here. Our plans are to continue to expand, to syndicate on other stations in Indiana, in the Midwest, and around the country. Our program is 2 hours. And so that is what we're looking to do. We're also, in addition to growing the radio stations, the number of stations we broadcast on, and also growing our podcast base, the number of stations we're on online, conservative talk radio as well. Facebook, we stream multiple ways. We'll add and continue to add different platforms that we communicate to our listeners through. But on top of that, we're also beginning soon, in the not too distant future, some courses. I call it CNBU, Conservative Not Bitter University. In fact, you can see right here on the hat, we're Conservative Not Bitter. That's our brand. And so we have some courses that we're looking to develop, some courses that are practical, that'll help people actually be better conservative communicators, better at teaching their children conservative values, things that are practical and not just theoretical. It's not enough to simply know how to, what to think about an issue, so to speak, how to navigate the concerning different principles of freedom, the role of government, and those sorts of things. It's also the Constitution. It's also important that we know how to communicate that and persuade others. And in today's world, folks, it is many folks live in an echo chamber. And so we want to combat that. We want to welcome, I tell folks that listening to this program may cause you to lean to the right. And 98% of scientists agree that listening to this program can stop and even reverse the dangerous effects of liberalism. And so, but we welcome folks of all backgrounds, of all types. I used to say I didn't care what they think. I do. I care what you think. But it's not enough to preclude you from joining and listening and trying to learn and at least see the conservative perspective. So CNBU, Conservative Not Bitter University, is also in our future as well. So I thank you for taking a moment to listen to our story. And guys, I appreciate you being a part of our community. Thank you so much for listening. God bless. Have a great day.